Welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Trent, and I see we have quite a packed chat today here. Hello, Two Steps Away. Thanks for joining. Saul 2112, glad you're here. Let's see, Dandy, hello again. Teak, always nice to see you here. Thanks for joining. Hector and Sekhmet Tara, hello. Brian, hello. And also IH, thanks for joining today. So today is I kind of renamed these sessions instead of Q&A. I just said office hours. I don't know if that's more descriptive of what it is, but if you haven't been here before, usually I'll answer questions about design or Affinity products or Canva or print on demand, some other topics we look into, video editing, DaVinci Resolve. And today I thought what we'd do is we'd go over some reviews of some people's designs and their artwork. I published a post earlier this week, kind of making a call for some art, and I got some great replies. So we'll be looking at that first. There's about 5 artists we'll be looking at. Some of you guys are in the chat. Hi, Joe. Hi, Just Tornado. Thanks for joining in Matrix Tech. You think office hours is a great call? Yeah. I kind of just wanted to be like, saying I'm here for an hour, we'll hang out, we'll answer questions, and that's kind of how we'll do it. So who knows if the branding will stay. But yeah, I kind of want this to be one of the main recurring sections of the stream. And I have my email address here if you want to send your art for next time. This is my business one, and it's on my YouTube channel header if you ever forget. I'll be making this post regularly just so people can see. Hi, John. And then later on, we'll go into the Q&A. But I think this will be fun. If people in the chat also have feedback over what we look at. Of course, we try to be constructive. I think we have a solid crowd here, so I don't think that'll be a problem. But, and also just disclaimer, things I say are just my opinion, so don't take it as, the word of how things have to be. I think the value of this is just some people, it benefits to have we all benefit from having an outside perspective on things. And, sometimes people give you feedback and some of it you can take and some of it you just kind of leave behind because it's irrelevant for you. Hi, Marlene. Hope things are sunny in Florida there. So, oh, by the way, all the links to all the artists, kind of their websites or their social media or wherever they wanted, it's in the description for this live stream. So you can check it out there. Mostly, people have like Pinterest or personal websites or Instagram, so you can check it out there. So let's look at our first one for today. And it's Daryl Hobson. Open it up here. So Daryl submitted some work here. So I thought what we could do is we can kind of scroll through them and just kind of take it in first, and then we can kind of go back and maybe add some comments. So I think he submitted about 5 or 6 artworks here. So let's kind of go through here. We have this one. I think it's Debbie Harry in his comments. I can't remember if that's who this is. Like from Blondie. This one's kind of like a Pink Floyd thing here. So we have the, I can't remember which one's Roger Waters and which one's isn't, but David Gilmour, but some of you guys know. Yeah, I agree 2 steps away. Feedback from others is helpful. Han Solo, of course, I don't think needs any introduction from most of us. So we have a nice artwork here, kind of like a vector portrait of him. Let's go to the next one. This one's kind of based on like The Who, Quadrophenia. I don't know the exact details of it. That's my interpretation of it. So here, nice vector design. Logo for Texas. So we've gone from England to Texas here. Cool space design, like an astronaut there. Let's look at the next one. So this could be like a t-shirt or something. California, like a surfing t-shirt. Santa Monica, 1962. Let me know if I'm going too fast or if you guys want me to slow down. I'm just kind of going through, give me a couple seconds so we can take it in. Then we have the Battle of Britain here. One thing I'm not sure about is sometimes like what you're going to do with the image will really influence like the feedback that, I or anyone else can give. So if in the future when people submit, it would be cool. I have Daryl's comments here, so he did say like some of these were for T-shirts and stuff like that. But it does help if you actually say like, where will this go, because that will definitely influence the feedback of like, what type of surface your design will be on. And I think that was the last one. So yeah, we can just kind of look at them all together here. So definitely like cool vector work that he gives. Let's there's a couple things I noticed, so let's kind of zoom in on some of them. I like this Han Solo one here. I really like the way you got the likeness of like Harrison Ford and stuff like that. Like even if it didn't say the name and didn't have the Star Wars graphics, I think I would know what character this is, especially because like you capture the clothing there, and the gun is kind of iconic for Star Wars. And I think in here, I think this really captures the character. So I think very well done on that aspect. And I also really like the shading. I just noticed that now. Look how he has like the kind of the subtle shading going up there on the face. So it just gives a little more depth. Like it's a vector, but there is kind of a gradient happening with the shading there. A couple of things I might recommend for this one. I think the title is kind of hard to read. Like it's very low contrast. You have this kind of purple on a darker purple, so it doesn't really stand out. I don't know if that's the intent or not. You might want to have like white outlines around this, or some other type of like maybe put it like in the Star Wars font or something like that. Like if you see let me see if I can bring up like I don't know, let's see like Star Wars character portraits or something. Let's see if they have like the names. I'm just trying to find something. Okay, here's an example. So something like this. Let's open this in a new tab. Like the way that text really stands out is like really nice. So that might be something you want to try. Let's see what other examples we have here. Yeah, you might just want to play with the text a little bit more to have it kind of pop a little bit more. So that's kind of my main suggestion on this one. I'd also say, if I zoom in here, you have this symbol of like the rebellion, I guess, and you have got kind of like an X-wing in there. I don't know if that's really like visible as what it is. I think there's a little too much going on there, where you kind of have like one symbol and then you have a silhouette inside of it. I would maybe just take that part out and put it somewhere else, and maybe just focus on having this be like a nice clean shape, or just have it, maybe some type of like gold texture you could have on this thing, or maybe like red with a kind of little bit of a metallic texture to it, because I think that's kind of the way it goes. It's also interesting the way you're kind of blending vectors with realism there. So again, Han Solo is very realistic. Then he's very vectorish, and then you have like kind of the photos here. I think it's mostly working. It is kind of interesting though, the way it goes like that. Like you kind of have three styles. Like he's a vector, this is a photograph, and then I can see kind of like paintbrush work in the background, I guess. So just something to consider. But I think my main thing with this would just be like the title, contrast more on that. Probably that's too much detail going on in this symbol here. I'd just take that out and just make that, stand out a little bit more. Let's look at some other ones here. There's a couple other ones that I had a comment on. Let's look at this one. So I like the design. I think this is like really cool for like a t-shirt. Very clear graphic. I can kind of see the, I don't know, the vector stroke you did over here. I think one thing that I would suggest is, I can see you're kind of going for this like multicolored thing. Like you're trying to have like a blue column, like a brown column, I guess like a tan column, and like an orange, and then a slightly golden one. And I think it's like, I think the design is just a little too sparse to make that color clear. Like, I don't think it's really kind of adding anything over here to have that blue there. So, or over here, you're having this issue where it's like the O is just getting this slight stripe of the color over here. And same thing with like the N, it's just getting this very slight gold over here. I think if you want to make it multicolored, I would just say like, take that blue and make the word California blue, and or maybe make the water blue. That'd be cool. Take these colors and just apply them to actually parts of the design, as opposed to kind of like striping through. Because like I know what you're going for, but I just think it's not kind of reading there, where it's like the design isn't thick enough for the stripes to actually show through. Let's see if we can find an example of that. I just search off screen in case something shows up. Retro surfing t-shirt. Let me see what I can find here. I'm trying to find something with like columns of color. I guess this one kind of has it. A lot of them are like horizontal, not vertical stripes. I guess this one kind of here is. But notice how like the design, it's so thick that like we can see the stripes of the different colors there. So there's so much going on that we have solid blocks of color going down. Whereas in yours, I think it's just like there's not enough going there to like hold all the color. So that'd be my recommendation on that one. And I think those are kind of the main points I had. Overall, I really like the work. This is the one where it kind of made me think like, I don't know like what you're going to do with this. That would depend. Like maybe you could add like a, like if this is a book cover or something like that, I'm not sure like what surface it's going to be on. That would like definitely influence the feedback I would give. But it might be something like if this is a poster, you might want to make this like use a paper texture or something for the background or some type of like vintage paper background you can use on this. Yeah, no problem, Dandy. So hopefully it was helpful there. But yeah, like I said, this one maybe you could add like some type, if this is gonna be like a poster someone hang on the wall, they might want like a more like vintage feel to it. Something I also recommend to notice too is like certain fonts will give an implication of what's time period it was. So if you wanted this to actually look like it was from the 1940s, like this font wasn't super big back then, if it even existed at all. I don't know. So you might want to like maybe find some more retro fonts or something like that. So you're saying it was indeed for a poster for a charity event. Yeah. And for a poster, like you're kind of trying to convey information like very quickly. So I would like, I would make this white and just have it more high contrast so people could see it like and really get a quick read on it. That's kind of the job of a poster, to get information out there quickly. So that'd be my suggestion for this one. But I really like, the way it works down here. The circular text is cool. Like the plane. So that's those are my main recommendations. So I really like, again, all these designs. I like the space one, very cool with the gradient. Texas one also very nice. I'm not sure what the Texas one is for, if it's like a t-shirt or something, but it looks cool. So thanks for your submission. And hope to see more. Yeah, definitely like this one also. Like I think this one is like very consistent. Like all the vectors, it's all vector based. I can tell who the person is, assuming it's Debbie Harry of Blondie. I saw that. Maybe it's someone else, but that was my interpretation. Antique, yeah, you're definitely correct. So you have to be careful like how you use the stuff. So you can't like, if you put Han Solo on a t-shirt, you're gonna have trouble. But if it's just for your personal use, like it's not an issue. But yeah, when you start selling things, that's when it becomes an issue. All right, so thanks, Daryl. Hi, Breezer. Great to have you here. Liz, you're saying keep calm and carry on was in the sans serif font, possibly Gersan's, which might be considered modern today. Okay, yeah. Gersan's. Let me see what font that was. I can't, maybe it's 2 L's. Let's see. Yeah, it's just something you'll have to like experiment with. We'll just keep calm and carry on. Yeah, I don't know if this was like the original font they used or if this is like people's modern interpretation. It might be the original font they used. I don't know. Like I don't, it's been copied so many times. I don't know which ones are actually from like whatever, 1940 or something. But yeah, it can be kind of tricky. Sometimes you'll see stuff that you think it's old, but like they just like remade it in a modern way. But yeah, you're absolutely right, Liz. Like we should definitely try to look and find examples of things from the past to learn from. All right, next we have Saul, number 2 here. So these, again, the websites are in the description of the video. So let's check out Saul's stuff. And you're in the chat, Saul. So Liz, you're saying definitely sans serif. Okay, all right. I stand corrected then. So sans serif, it did exist in the World War II era. So definitely some abstract work going on here. Let's go over to the right. Another one here. We have some buildings, texture around the edges. Kind of these gears. So I noticed you kind of like this abstract style, kind of like this splatterish style. And this was the reference photo for this one. He actually took the graphic, if I'm reading it correctly, and kind of incorporated it into the artwork here. So very cool. And that was the last one. So yeah, taking all three of them in at the same time, definitely we can see like a style you have going there, which is like very cool. It's like the way you kind of do this abstract texturing. Let's look at one to begin with. Let's look at this one first, because there's a couple points I want to make about this. So I like the way you've done the texture and all that. I'm not sure exactly what you've done, if it's like some type of noise or grunge texture, but it's pretty cool. One thing when doing abstract work is you want to consider like what path the eye is going to take when the user, when the viewer looks at it. And kind of the direction of things kind of will guide the eye. One thing that's happening when I look at this is like, I just find like my eye, let me zoom out a little bit. I find like I just kept getting like shot out this way. And that's just kind of like where I just want to keep looking. And I think one thing you may want to consider going forward is like, how can you keep the viewer looking around your image? Like, what else can I look at? Because when I look at this, mostly I'm just focusing on like this part there, you know? And like over here, I kind of see like, all right, there's noise. And I just kind of start looking back on here, and I just like shoot out that way. You know, I'm trying to like figure stuff out there. You might want to say like, okay, can you have fun like guiding the viewer's eye around a composition? And you know, there's lots of abstract artists we can look at, like, I don't know, like Kandinsky or something like that. Art. This is another one of those things where you have to be careful, because like so much stuff online now like isn't even what they did. But I don't know, let's take this one. I don't know if this is even art, but like, you know, there's kind of like a variety of things happening here. So it's like, you know, I can look at this and like, all right, that's cool. And then like, oh, there's some stuff over here I want to focus on. And then what's going on with this thing? And then, oh, there's a whole thing going on there. And like, you kind of like look at the different parts of it. And, you know, I know there's different, there's obviously like minimalism. There's more than one way to do things, but that might be something you want to think about going forward. Reading your comments. So you take lots of photos, different patterns on the street, sidewalk, walls. Awesome, yeah. It's important to always have a camera. Yeah, that's cool. Like thankfully, most of us do have a camera these days, but most of you know, not all of us are as observant as you taking photos of, you know, the ground and things like that. But yeah, that's one thing I just might want to recommend with this one. Also, yeah, let's look at the other one here. Kind of a similar thing with this one. Like I'm kind of getting boxed in a little bit here. Let me zoom out. I'm trying to find like the good way to zoom out. Hi Sharon, thanks for joining. Like I'm kind of getting a little bit trapped in here. So maybe you want to have the viewer have some reason to look more towards the edges and stuff like that. Like I like the background texture. It's just kind of like, I don't know if people are going to look very closely at it. What people really want to look at is like the buildings and stuff like that. So maybe you can kind of work some of these elements into some other parts too. But yeah, I really like the way you've kind of mashed all these things up. So are you using like blend modes and stuff like that, Saul? Like, or are you kind of just like using like adjustments? Looks like some of them maybe are like inverting, maybe just like kind of like gradient maps. I'm just kind of curious about the technique. So this is really interesting. So this one, I'm kind of, what I like is like you're kind of exploring the whole canvas here. So I think there's like a lot of stuff to look at. We have like the gears, and you know, there is the texture on the side, but like I can kind of look at different stuff, like, you know, the gears here. It's something you haven't seen before. Yeah, I've never seen this exact style either, Teak. It's very interesting. Let's see here. One thing you may want to try, and this is kind of, again, just a suggestion, is like playing with depth a little bit more. Like maybe have some gears, even though this is overlapping the other one, maybe, you know, you can play a little more with like focus. Like maybe the one in the front is really sharp, the one in the background is like blurrier because it's further, less contrast. You can have like maybe like a sense of depth or something. So Saul, you're saying you're using a combination of different things. Okay. Yeah, you don't have to reveal your secrets if you don't want to. I was just curious. But yeah. Yeah, so you're kind of like recoloring these gears and stuff like that. I do like this splat on the front. It does feel like it's blocking things a little bit. I kind of would, I don't know, maybe it's a little too big. I'm trying to think like why I feel that way. Maybe there could be a gradient or something on the splat. I think kind of like the fact that it's kind of so unified in color is kind of what is distracting me. Like I'm seeing all this great colorful detail, all these like color changes on the gears, right? You have like a little bit of blue and this part is red. I'm painting red on red so you can't really see it, but there's nice contrast there. I'd like to see a little, I guess what I'm saying is like there's not a lot of texture in like this type of thing or like there. Whereas like you have tons of texture in the background and things like that. So maybe this little splatter could be like a little more interesting. Yeah, I really like that one. It's interesting what's going on in the back too. Are these like spheres? I'd love to see like stuff with this also. Like, I guess these are like kind of texture demo spheres or something like that kind of looks like. So that'd be like really cool to like play with that idea some more. Yeah, I'm just kind of like observing the different parts. Yeah, I really like the variety of styles. The color looks super cool. Like I said, I'll just say like, you know, from a composition point, maybe just give the eye more places to go in these things. Because we're kind of getting, and this one I think we're just getting trapped in the middle. Maybe I would like some more stuff on the edges to look at. It's kind of a variety of things going on. But yeah, I definitely like the style. Would like to see more work in this with these colors and effects. So certainly if you have more in the future, send it along. I'd like to see it. So thanks very much for the submission, Saul. It was very cool. All right, let's check out Andrew's work here. Not sure if Andrew is in the chat yet. Usually he watches the replays. So if you're out there, Andrew, hope this is helpful. So let's look at his work here. Saul, reading your comments. Yeah, it's basically playing around, which is the best way to learn these programs. I agree. The basis came from a number of photos. Yeah, Teak 3D would be pretty cool for those. So I think Andrews are kind of like mock-ups for a book or a web page or something. So the text is just kind of placeholder text. So we have this butterfly here, or moth. Let's click the next one. Another kind of design. Like maybe this would be like the first page of a chapter or something like that. Let's zoom in. Kind of got the paper here with the fire. This looks like it would be like maybe like a menu bar for a website or something. And maybe same thing here. All right, let's look at some of them more closely. Oh, Andrew, hi. Yeah, Andrew, let me know if you have any like, specific questions or anything. I'll just kind of give my general feedback, but you know, would like to, if you have like something specific you want me to look at, let me know. I think with this one thing I would love to see, maybe just like, because you're kind of like taking a negative image here, and the way it's kind of cut up like that, I would like to maybe just see like, have the moth be like half and half, and then just do like each side like negative, right? Like, because I find I just find it awkward how just this part is negative, but like that part is normal and that part is normal. It just kind of feels a little unbalanced to me. Maybe like another way to do it would be, let me find a transparent moth. I don't know, maybe my idea is probably more boring than the what you did here. Is this actually a transparent PNG? So like if you had like a moth or something, I don't know, maybe like one side of the page could be like, you know, negative. You know, I didn't choose as good as image as you, but you know, maybe something more along those lines. Maybe it's a little more conventional, but I think, you know, just kind of seeing it split a little evenly as opposed to like kind of this awkward shape taken out of it. Oh yeah, no problem. I'm just giving my feedback. It's just my idea. Not more important than anyone else's. Yeah, so like what is the, Andrew, is this like for a website or is this like a brochure or something? I think it's pretty cool. Like it has that kind of this minimalist style. I like the flames here. I think what's happening is like this kind of the faded effect on this back one. I think I would try to find a way to make like the maybe the flames kind of still look strong going out this way. That might be something to suggest. It's really tricky though, because flames, you have a white background, and you know flames are like mostly white to begin with, almost like the middle is almost pure white. Like I'm looking, whoops. Like if I color pick the middle of this flame, like it's white, you know. Same thing with that one. So when you it's hard to like have the flame go outside here without it just disappearing into the background. So that's kind of a challenge there. You may want to make it so the flames are contained in this area. And like if the flames are going to look stronger if they're, yeah, so you're saying a compound mask. Okay. Let me think of something. So, I mean, if you had like a shape like this, and then there was some kind of like background, I don't know. Let me find some flames. Whoa, those are big flames. I guess what I'm getting at, if there's a way, and again, I'm not saying like this is the only way to do it. It's just the way it cuts off there. This is the only part that like is I think the problem, you know, like the way that happens. I don't know of a way to like get around that, just because like I said, by its nature, the background is like so white. It's gonna be tricky to do. But yeah, maybe you just have to like maybe what you have to do is extend this background shape here. Like raise this curve up more so the flame will contrast with that and we'll see it, okay? I think that'll give it more dimensionality. Like the same way we're getting like the dimensionality down here, and there it's just kind of disappearing. Like raise this curve up a bit so we can get the full flame going. That'd be my suggestion there. Look up breakout effect. It would be nice. Let me see what the breakout effect is. You mean like having it kind of like stand out a little bit? Break out of the shape? Yeah, I think I know what you mean, Teak. But yeah, something where I think in this case it's just a matter of like raising this thing behind it so it stands out more. And this one's cool. I would just say check this part a little bit. Maybe try to get some, keep the silhouette so it's actually going there. It kind of looks a little awkward with that part, but you know, I like the idea. And maybe the same thing here. Just kind of like if you can mask that back in so it actually kind of fits there. But I think the wings look cool. And then there's this one. So this is what makes me feel like it's a shop or something like that. Like the recently viewed text there. I think here, I don't know how I feel about the border. It seems kind of a little bit out of place. Like everything else is very like clean and, you know, graphical and structured. I think a simpler border might look a little cleaner there. Like just instead of like this kind of textured stroke. But that's just me. Like, but I think that could help improve it a little more. Also, when you're doing these lines, maybe I would say experiment with different colors for these lines. It's a little kind of gray and muddy, but maybe you can do like a slight white or something, or a slightly more vibrant color there. I Let me see if I can find an example. So let's do this. I'm going to do like the most inconvenient way of making lines, but I don't know, maybe like that's your line, right? Stroke would make it clean. Yeah, that's another option there. So I don't know, like, what are some good patterns that could match this? And kind of like experiment with it. Like, I don't know what a good color would be. Maybe yellow or something like that. Maybe just something that's just not that kind of brownish, or kind of like that desaturated or muddyish brown. I'll just experiment and see like what looks good. Does white look good? White might be too harsh. But yeah, something along those lines maybe. Maybe something like that. Something subtle, that kind of idea. So something you can play with. The key thing though is I think when you're designing this, if you can structure it so you can quickly make those types of experiments and changes, I think that would be a good way to like do it. I'm not sure exactly how you structure that, but if you can just like select it all and play with different colors, that would be good. And maybe also you could like have this, you know, this is all kind of monochromatic, and a lot of your other ones actually have like color and stuff like that. Maybe there's a way you can play with the colors here too. Maybe you don't want to reuse the colors you used before, but you want to like, you know, something that contrasts with the blue, you know, with the orange maybe. So those are some ideas I had. So hopefully it was helpful, Andrew. I really like this design. I think let me know like what you do with it. You know, I'm still not sure what you're actually gonna do this for. If it's gonna be like a pamphlet or something like that. But definitely cool stuff. So if you have any changes, feel free to submit them and we can check them out again. So that was Andrew's work, and like I said, check out the description below to see links to his portfolio. Let's look at the next one. Next we have Gersan, and he submitted this photo here, or this image, whoops. And it's really cool. It looks like it's actually painted on something. I think it's non-digital. I think it's traditional. So if I zoom in here, you can see kind of like the texture. So I don't know if he did acrylic here, or if this is like gouache or something, but definitely very nice painting. There's lots of stuff I like about it. I mean, I like everything about it almost. I mean, the most awesome thing is like, look at the way the metals work here. Like you really get that sense of metal on the teeth, you know, and also the chain down here. The thing with metals is, no problem, Andrew, is it's kind of like that the sharp transition of the highlights is what kind of makes something look metallic. So if you want to see like you know, like a metallic texture or something, let's look at these. I guess this just be kind of like a little side note. Trying to find like a metallic texture. Let's look at this. So, you know, you see these things that look metallic, you know, and the way you can do a metallic look is, again, it's about those sharp transitions between like grays and blacks and darks. So if I take my gradient tool here, I can just drag it through. And you just kind of randomly add like little bits of grays, little highlights. Maybe some parts are darker than others. You know. And it kind of starts to look metallic. And it's really just about like observing those differences in things to kind of get that effect going. Yeah, I don't know what the ultimate, you know, place where he puts this is. It could be like an LP cover. Yeah, Teak, I'm not sure. So yeah, I love the way the metal here. And also look at the beard. So hair gives a lot of people trouble, but here, I mean, it's like done perfectly. So a lot of times people, they'll get stuck in the middle. They'll do like, okay, he has a beard, so I have to do all this kind of crazy stuff. And it's like, you don't have to do that. A lot of times with hair, you can just kind of like give the tone in the middle. And then it's really the silhouette that tells us it's hair. So it's this part on the edge that shows us, okay, like that's a beard. I mean, we know it's a beard just because like, it's a face and stuff like that. But this is really like where all the information comes to us here. And that's kind of like the key part of doing something like this. I like the way the tattoos work too. Like there's a lot of very like sophisticated stuff. Like look at the way that there's like a shadow on the back, and the tattoo is kind of darker with the shadow, but then it gets lighter here as we get more towards the light. So it really has like a nice sense of like roundness there, and that's due to the lighting, the way he painted that in. The clothes are also really done nicely here. So the drapery like that. So I mean, everything is very solid. The only thing I would like say is like maybe this text here, there's a little bit of a tangent happening here, which is like you have a word, and then you have another one that's just kind of like touching, just glancing on it. And that's kind of like called a tangent. Let me see if I can bring up something here. Art tangents. Yeah, bring up this article. So this is kind of a useful concept to know. Yeah, Dandy, definitely a really nice design. So this is kind of something like strikes people as awkward like when they see it. Like edges that are kind of just touching each other like that, or just like this. It's kind of more pleasing when things like cleanly overlap something else. So we can see some other examples down here. Things just touching, it seems kind of strange. Things running into each other. Same thing here. Like it's kind of like one of those things like you look at it and your eye just keeps getting obsessed with like, is it going to fit perfectly against the thing or not? And if you kind of like move the lemon to the left, it's more visually pleasing when it just like cleanly overlaps it. We have clearly, it creates a sense of depth and all that. But when the edges kind of match like that, it makes us get a little confused. But I mean, you're not doing it severely here, but I'll just say it's just kind of a thing that jumped out at me like that. But other than that, I mean, I don't have much feedback beyond that. I think it's definitely a solid design. May need to worry, if this is your whole image, you may need to worry about like the bleed area. Like that might be kind of tight, and you may need to, give yourself more room. Because like if you do something like an album cover or a book cover or something like that, quite often there's going to be a bleed area. And, these days they can kind of generatively expand the edges. So it's not going to be that much of an issue, but maybe just, when you look at a lot of famous posters and things like that, it's like this. The part we see is like this, but when you actually look at the real composition, it kind of like goes out like a little bit further, whatever. Like, they actually go out like that far just to give themselves like more cutting area to work with. So it's cutting a little bit close there, but again, maybe that's your whole image. So yeah, definitely cool painting. I wasn't expecting to get like actual paintings and stuff, but I'll take it. Like definitely send them in if you have them. So thanks Gersan for that. Very nice. Like I said, the composition is really the only thing I would just check. Next we have Alex Smith, and this is the last one that was submitted. So Alex, and again check the link in the description for links to all their profiles. So he has kind of like logos and graphics and stuff. So let's check this out. Happy 2022. Whoops. DJ Mickey. So I assume these are kind of like logos for people or organizations. GPDS Architects. Let's check out Trigon Mining. All right. So these are really cool. So let's look at this one. I like it. I guess, I don't know if this is like for like a New Year's thing or something. It's clever. I definitely like the face with the teeth. I think the twos, I don't know if they're quite working. It seems a little, I guess the thing is like the way this two touches the edge and then this one doesn't. I kind of feel like I almost want them to be more symmetrical. Like maybe this one needs to be pulled over to the side also, so it's also kind of touching it. That's kind of the thing where my eye keeps going to. Also, maybe a little bit of a kerning. This is just a personal preference. So I'll kind of explain this. Is like one thing you can do when you do text is you can actually adjust the text between individual letters. And I would make a habit of like anytime you actually create text for something like a logo, just force yourself to manually do some kerning. So let's say like happy here. I don't know what font you're using. I'll just keep it as that. But in Affinity Designer and all the Affinity programs, what you can do is you can actually adjust the space between letters. So if I put my cursor here, I can go to Window, Text, Character, and then I have these options over here to do various things. So I can like shear it. And then this one here, this one is kerning. So if I click and drag, I can actually adjust the space between letters. And it's just going to do like where the cursor is. So you can kind of like tune it up a little bit. This one below is called tracking. So tracking is when you adjust the space between all the letters. So that's something you can always do. But computers are kind of notorious for like not having the best kerning by default. So often at times it's a good idea to like go in and just kind of like manually play with it a little bit and see if like you can find a way to make it look a little more compact. Usually most fonts are fine, but sometimes you get like a really crazy example where you'll do something and I don't know, like by default, like I'm trying to make it look really bad. You'll download some font and like, you know, you'll type a word and it'll look like this. You know, be like, what is going on? Like, why is it so distant like that? So what you can do is you can put your cursor between it and then you can go and fix the kerning. Now I made that one bad on purpose, but like some fonts you download do kind of legitimately look that bad. So whenever you see that, that's a thing to check out. But yeah, I think I like this. I would just say like that part, you know, my eye just wants it to match the other side, and that's what keeps getting to me there. DJ Mickey. So I'm trying to see like, I don't know like what type of DJ Mickey is. So you know, I would assume like maybe if I don't know if this matches his style or not. So this is kind of like the thing with logos and all that is it's really hard to judge them or critique them in a vacuum because it really depends like, okay, what is the brand or what is the person that this is for? And I think that's one, I'm not saying this to you, I'm just saying this in general. I think that's one thing that kind of happens is people start their branding with like, okay, what logo are we going to have? And it really kind of starts with like, okay, like what's your purpose? What do you want to say? And then from there, you actually work backwards and get like, you know, a logo or something like that. On your PC, you could just use the arrow keys with the cursor between the letters. Oh, that works too? Cool, let's try that. So if I do the arrow keys, on your PC, you could just use the arrow keys with the cursor between the letters. Yeah, on mine it's not, but maybe I don't have the right keyboard. Mine, it just goes to the next one. But yeah, maybe on Mac it works or something like that. But yeah, I guess my point on this was that, you know, whether a logo works or not really depends on like the knowing like what is the, I can't do anything. What is like the intent of the logo, right? And you don't want to start your branding with a logo either. That's kind of one of the last things you want to do actually. Like branding isn't a logo. Branding is like, what do you mean? What's your message? And then kind of what do you stand for? And then from there, you work on like the visual element. Yeah, maybe it's a way to set it, Teak. That's a cool setting though. So DJ Mickey, like I don't know like what type of stuff DJ Mickey does, so I'm not exactly sure. Like, does this represent him or not? I think it's a cool design though. So that's what I'll say. I'm trying to see if like this says like, so it's GPDS. I'm trying to see like if this matches the letters or something, or if it's just like a shape. I'm trying to like, figure out what the shape is. But I would say also like maybe centering it a little bit. I'm kind of wondering like what font this is. Is this just like I I don't know why it went to that font. It's not quite Arial, but it's like pretty close. But yeah, I would just say like maybe centering would be kind of the thing here. It feels kind of off balance. Like, you know, this is too far to the left compared to like this. So maybe kind of center it. And I'm curious, like the word architects, like, you know, architecture, usually want to be like something kind of strong and sturdy, right? It's kind of the impression you want to give. And I think the top word is that way. But architects, maybe that could be something like more solid, you know, to like, again, give it that grounded feel. So that might be something to look at. So the lowercase a kind of implies, I don't know, maybe informality or something like that. I'm not sure if that's kind of like the main thing architects want to go for. But like I said, I'd have to know about this architecture firm. Let's look at some architecture logos. Yeah, I'm seeing lots of capital letters. Again, a lot of this is like clip art. I don't know if there's like famous architecture logos. I guess this one. I mean, I stand corrected. So this one is like lowercase, you know, a and all that. But I do think a lot of it is kind of trying to convey like a solid structure, you know. That's what I'm seeing like with these types of things. So there's something to consider. Let's go to the next one. Hexad Digital. Yeah, I think this one is centered. It's just kind of cropped a different way. I keep trying to see like what does the thing mean, but it could just be like a cool shape. I think it's a cool shape. Let's go to the last one. Here we have like two different options. Yeah. I like this one, but I kind of prefer the bottom one slightly more. But I'd say maybe you have to hold Alt. Okay, Teak, thanks. Maybe this could be like a little bit bigger, or like this could be kind of, maybe this could be like the same height as this. It just seems kind of like a lot of empty space there. It's not being used. And I think like on a website header or something like this, I could just see this being like very empty. Like if this is the top of your website, you know, this is going to be like nothing happening there. So maybe like this could be bigger. I like the colors though. I like that kind of like cool green with that. I don't know if that's even black or if that's like a, is it pure black? Yeah, it's basically black. And this one has like that subtle gradient, which I like. Here I have another trigon. Okay. Yeah, I see you're kind of using like the words to kind of do the shape there. It's like the triangle. So nice. So yeah, like I said, I think for some of them it's just like the spacing, like maybe have this central, you know, center the design there. Maybe play with some different words, because like what I often do in this type of situation is I'll say like, okay, I don't know why it keeps going to that crazy font. And I can't spell architects. Architects. So one thing is like to like quickly iterate over ideas. So like let's say Arial, right? So we'll do that, right? Then just Alt-click, drag over. Let's try something else. What else is interesting here? Calibri. Click, drag. Just keep finding other ones. And just kind of like build up like a little visual reference here of like what you want to do. Like let's just say I just have like, you know, crazy ideas, right? Just keep kind of going through. You just kind of keep going through like this. And you come up with lots of options. So these are like your font options. And then what you can do is like if you have your shape, like, I don't know, like what your shape is. Let's say we have some like logo here, you know. This is the thing. Not a very innovative logo, but let's say this is the logo of your thing. Yeah, Comic Sans could be one. And then you just kind of like experiment with it. You're like, okay, how does that one look? You know? And then it's like, how does this one look? And you just kind of keep like iterating over ideas like that. So you take this one, you know. And then what you do is like at the end of the day, you kind of like stack them all up next to each other, and you just kind of like look through it and kind of you can build up like dozens of options like immediately, you know. Papyrus, yeah. Comic Sans and Papyrus. They need to make a comeback. So that's kind of like one thing you can do is to like iterate over a lot of ideas, you know, and you're like, okay, maybe I want to experiment with this one. I want to try a version where I do like a triangle or something on the side, you know, whatever. A red triangle going like this. And then you just kind of like, you know, start, maybe it looks like a hat or something, but you just kind of like play with things. So like, you know, in one dimension, like you have your fonts you're playing with, and then down here, you know, maybe you're trying with different shapes. When you find one you like, you kind of iterate on it. So like iteration is really the name of the game. So that's kind of just my parting suggestion on that one. But cool stuff, Alex and everyone. That was the last one for our design review there. Feedback. So hopefully it was useful. If you submitted good enough for Avatar, yeah, the Papyrus. So if you submitted something this week, you want to submit again, feel free to. And if you want to submit more, if you haven't submitted, you want to submit in the future, check out my email address there. You can just send me the files. This is kind of the first time we did this, so it's kind of a work in progress. But I think you know, as time goes forward, I think it'll be a really good experience for people, you know, for us to kind of share what we've been working on with the tools we talk about so much. So let's check out some Q&A here. And if you have any other questions, feel free to ask in the chat. I have a couple questions this week I'll go over. So I got this question about Affinity Designer 2, and could you actually remove black from an image like you can with GIMP or something like that? Let me bring up a photo here. Actually, later on I saw that he said Affinity Designer. I thought he said Affinity Photo. There's a couple ways you can do this. Yeah, nicely done, everyone. Thanks for submitting. I was super happy with all the files people submitted. So the question is like, how can you remove black from an image like this? And one of the things I would recommend is actually the first thing you should try is like a background removal website. You know, Canva has one, Creative Fabric has a free one. I'll just see if there's like an automated way of doing it before you kind of manually try to do this. There's a couple ways you can do it. In Affinity Photo, it's more easy than Affinity Designer. Affinity Photo just has some better tools. One thing you can do is, let me see what the main options were. I just want to cover them in the correct order. So one thing you can do is you can do select, and then you can do like you can like select sampled color. So this allows you to select a certain color. So if I click this, so what I can do is I can click anywhere and I can select that color, right? So I can select this, and then you can mask it out there. I don't know why it didn't mask. Let's do it again. So let's do select same. All right, so apply. There we go. All right. So you can do that, and of course you would select black there. So if I select subject, or actually, I guess you could do that on the select subject feature. Now that we have Affinity 2.6. Yeah, Teak, we'll check out threshold in a second. So select subject didn't do a great job there. You can see there's kind of lots of issues there. Let's try threshold. So if I go here, so threshold tends to, I believe it converts things to black and white too. So that's going to be an issue. I don't know if there's a way we can invert it. I don't think there is. But yeah, this is a good way of like filtering out if you just have like a black and white image like that. Another thing you can do is there's this brush for the eraser brushes. There's actually a background erase tool. So if I select this here, there's a tool called background erase brush. And what's going to do is like whatever the first thing you click on, it's going to assume that's the background. So if I wanted to remove the blue, I could click on the blue and I could paint that out like so. And it would delete it. So I'd undo this. So if you wanted to remove the black, you could click out here like this. and then it would erase. I don't know why it's kind of so choppy. The only downside is that this is destructive, so you want to make a copy of your background layer first so you don't permanently destroy it. Joe, you're saying select by color in GIMP is one of the selection tools like marquee and lasso. Yeah, so there's like you're saying that's like one of the tools where I don't know why it's showing. You're saying it's one of the tools like on the toolbar there, not a menu option. But yeah, I think select same by color. You can also do the blend options. So if you go to the blend options here, this is this gear icon. So if I click that, this one kind of confuses people. So I won't go over it too much for people that are confused. But I have a couple of videos on the blend options. I recommend watching those. But what you can do is you can actually like remove certain bands of color. So if I remove black, I turn this down, and my black is gone. Now it's a curve like this, so it's kind of going up this way. I can actually click and drag this way to kind of threshold it some more. And I think, Teak, this is kind of more of like the threshold you were talking about, like this type of tool, I think. The only thing you have to be aware of is you still get kind of like, it's still really hard to get rid of that bleed effect on the edges like that. So that's something to keep in mind. So I think probably select same by color, deleting is the way to do it. Yeah, Teak, so you're using the object selection tool. I tried it just a second ago and it didn't work too well. So if I do select, let's try select subject first. We'll see if that works. So if I mask it out, there's still some work that needs to be done, so it didn't quite do that. Let's try select subject. Let's do refine. I'll just say apply. I'll say new layer with mask. And I think it's a good start. You still have to clean it up. Like for some reason the corners it doesn't do a very good job in, but you know it helps there. So yeah, there's a couple ways to do it. I recommend your first thing should be a background removal tool to do that. Then try the select same color, delete that, and of course the best thing is to not get into this situation to begin with. Sometimes it's unavoidable, but a lot of times when you download these assets, they'll give you a JPEG with like a black background. But then if you actually look inside, maybe they have a transparent PNG as well. So definitely, like if someone gives you something like this, like ask them if they can give you the one with the transparent background before you kill yourself trying to remove the background. So one select. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't remember if it's here. I don't know why I'm not seeing it. I thought there was a magic wand too, but I can't remember where it was. I don't really use it that much. Oh, here it is. All right, flood select. Yeah, let's see if this works. I'll put it front and center. All right, so let's mask that out. Now you can invert masks, by the way. You can right-click on a mask and say invert. So actually did a pretty good job. It kind of was similar to my select same color. But yeah, so I use this flood select tool. So by default it wasn't there, but if I go to view, customize tools, it was there. So I'll drag it out. Yeah, you'd use the one to keep the black in the logo and just get rid of the background black. Yeah, that's a possible. Yeah, so that's a good idea, Joe. So that's our approach to that problem there. I got this question on some of my Canva tutorials. They say, have you used a premium feature in this tutorial? And if so, which are those? So yeah, sometimes I use the premium features in the Canva tutorials. I try to avoid it if possible, but in Canva, the way to know if a feature is premium or not, like if you're seeing a tutorial or something like that, let me show here. So I brought up just this file in Canva. If you look at like the options, where's an option? So like premium features are going to have this crown there. So like the background removal is a premium feature, the magic eraser, but some stuff isn't. Like so if I apply some type of filter, it's not a premium feature. So I try to avoid them when possible, but sometimes they are there. So I got this question on my video about replacing like the Adobe products. And someone asked, what about Acrobat? Like, how do you replace Acrobat? And if anyone in the chat has recommendations on this, certainly let me know. My PDF needs aren't that complex. So basically I use Affinity Publisher to write a PDF when I need to make something like that. And when I read, I just read stuff in Chrome, and I don't know if it uses it. Maybe it uses an Adobe plugin. I'm not sure. But I know some people do have more sophisticated PDF stuff they want to do, like highlights and bookmarks and things like that. And I think you need the paid version of Acrobat to do that. But I don't have those needs, so I just haven't looked for a good alternative to Acrobat. I just use Chrome to read things. Usually I don't read PDFs for long periods of time. Usually just like a receipt or something I just need to look at briefly. But I know some people do it for like textbooks and all that kind of stuff. I'm not sure what the best alternative is these days, but hopefully something comes out of it. For exporting, like almost everything exports PDFs, so I don't have that problem of like, can stuff export PDF or not. So form, yeah. Joe, you're saying Affinity Publisher still needs a way to add form text fields too. Okay. Yeah, I hate it when you get like a form and you have to use like PDF or something like that to or Acrobat or whatever. Teak, you're saying Sedja. Let's see what that is. Sedja. Interesting. Yeah, I've never used this one. Oh wait, that's Sedja alternative. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know what Sedja is, Teak. Is that like is that a program or something, or? Oh, Sedja here. Okay. Man, like all the top results were for like alternatives to Sedja, not Sedja itself. So I've never actually used this. It does look like it's paid, but yeah, maybe it's like if it pays like on the month, like most people aren't going to be happy with that if they're trying to replace Acrobat, but it could be a cool thing. So it looks like there's lots of options here. Matrix, you're saying MS Word can convert many PDF files. Yeah, and Google Office, like Google Docs, Google Slides, they're also really good with PDFs, like exporting. So that's an option I use a lot. Got this other question: hasn't Canva bought Affinity? So the answer is yes, but so far we haven't seen any. There's been no external changes yet. I'm sure internally they're reshuffling things and all that kind of stuff, just in terms of like org structure. But from the outside, like nothing has changed in how Affinity works and how Canva works. They're still the same, but who knows when that's going to change. But yes, so far there's no external difference that we've seen. You're saying it was free, but you haven't used it in ages. Okay, yeah, maybe they moved to like a paid model or something. So I got this question: can Affinity Photo replace Photoshop features like AI, layering stuff, masking, and blending options? It can do most of this stuff. Like these last things, it certainly can. It doesn't have as many AI options. They just released the machine learning object selection tool, but it doesn't have like that kind of more advanced like generative fill options. I know Photoshop also has like these neural filters that can do a lot of like different effects and things like that. So a lot of those aren't in Affinity. But for the basic stuff, it definitely works. I mean, even more than basic stuff. I mean, I don't really have much of a need for Photoshop anymore. But I would say like try the trial. It's like 7 days now, I think, and see if it suits your needs. You may find like it works perfectly for what you need to do. So I'd say just give the demo a try. I think this is the last question. Yeah, I got this question. I've gotten this question a couple times, like why are Affinity Designer, Photo, and Publisher, why aren't they just one program? And you can actually switch between them quite conveniently. And there's a lot of shared features. And the question is like, why aren't they just one program? I mean, I don't work for Affinity, I don't know, but my guess is that they want to have 3 programs that compete with Adobe's 3 programs. They want to say, Photo is our Photoshop alternative, Designer is our Illustrator alternative, and Publisher is our InDesign alternative. And they want people to see that 3-point comparison. And I think that's kind of I think that's mainly the marketing reason of why they're doing it. But yeah, I mean, under the hood, it could all just be one program. It probably is, but a lot of it's kind of like it's business and marketing. Like, how do you position your product against competitors? And that's kind of the way they do it, to have them positioned against Adobe and contrast with that. Yeah, Teak, you're saying no generative fill in the Adobe. Yeah, in the Affinity programs. Yeah, that's one of the big gaps, I think. So we'll see going forward. It has like a basic fill, but it's definitely not as sophisticated. And Pac-Man, you're saying, yeah, also individual programs offer more affordable options. Yeah, I think that's what they like to say, is like they like to show, here's Affinity Photo. It competes with Photoshop and it's no subscription. They want it to be very clean. And they don't want to just have like one mega program with everything in it. It's also the fact that, Pac-Man, you're saying not everyone needs all three. Yeah, so a lot of programs get like bloated where it's just so much stuff builds up over the years. And I think keeping them separate is a nice way of like keeping them clean and separate. So you're saying you need to do more masking exercises. Yeah, it's just just getting familiar with it and just using it in terms of time. Teak, you think the answer was pricing. Yeah, people just want a certain part. I mean, yeah. Theoretically, they could offer the whole thing for like a cheaper price, but it's pricing is a very it's kind of perception, right? Like, what's the perceived value of the product? And there's different ways you can do that. That's all I'll say about that. Joe, you're saying a trace tool in Affinity Designer would be nice to look tool-like in Corel. Yeah, that's something a lot of people want. In the Affinity programs is like a vector trace tool. Also like a blend tool that can actually convert between different shapes. So for example, if you have like a square and then you have a circle, a blend tool can actually like build the intermediary shapes. So that'd be something that's really cool. But that was all I had for today. I'll stay on for another couple minutes or so if anyone has any additional questions. Like I said, if you have art you want to submit, would definitely love to see it. I'll make another post later on this week to kind of ask for more stuff, but you can just send me an email here, and just let me know like what your goal is with your work, what kind of feedback you want. I thought it was quite fun today to see all the different submissions from you guys, wide variety of styles. So you're saying the Huion drawing tablet has been a big asset in working with these programs. Yeah, I definitely find in a lot of situations, like I haven't done like hand drawing in a long time, but like when I was, like, it's a game changer using a tablet, especially if you're doing like paint strokes or actually drawing things. With graphic design, it can be, when you're just kind of moving shapes around, it's not as important, but a lot of times when you're doing art and stuff, it's super big. Gunnars J, you're saying, is there a way to convert a logo you get in JPEG to vectors? There's not an automated way to do it. You would have to trace it now. I would say probably like search online and see if try to find some free tools that do it. But currently there's no way to do it in Affinity. So I just searched online vectorizer. I mean, Adobe claims to have one, but there's this other tool, Vectorizer. I don't know if it's truly free. You can try this one. You can upload your raster images and you'll get a vector result. I looked at this about a year and a half ago, and it varied. Some of the tools I liked, now they're paid. Some of them aren't that great. But I'd say Google options and see if you find any there. I should make a follow-up video of that. Joe, yeah, I had a Huion. I still do. I like it. I think it's a good thing. Mostly, but once I got my iPad, I mostly kind of went to that and Procreate. Hector, no problem. Teak, Inkscape. Yeah, Inkscape is another one that can do, I think, some type of vector trace, and it can also do shape blending too. So you're saying that you have the Huion Canvas 13 Gen 3. Yeah, I got I did to get the Canvas 2 about 6 years ago, so I can't remember what it was then, but it was new at the time. And I loved it, Matrix Tech, you're saying Vectorizer is really nice, but not free. Okay. Not Canva. Creative Fabrica has one. It's free, but it doesn't work that well. It works for simple stuff, but it's remarkable how the difference in quality between a really good Vectorizer versus like an average one. An average one just, it just doesn't cut it a lot of the time, especially if there's like lots of colors. If it's a black and white image you're trying to do, sometimes it works okay, but especially when you have like gradients, that is a big problem. 2 steps away, you have the XP Pen Deco Pro, and you're digging it. Cool. Yeah, I haven't. I have the iPad I have an iPad from 2018, and I got the Apple Pencil at the time, so I always like that. Teacher saying Vectorizer AI is the best one, but paid. Let's check that out. Yeah, thanks everyone that submitted. Let's just look at this one thing real quick. Vectorizer AI. I think this is the one I used to like, and then it switched to a paid program. Yeah, this one here. But this one that's just called Vectorizer.com claims to be free, so you can give it a shot. Maybe it'll work. Yeah, Saul, it's definitely amazing how powerful some of these free programs are today. And Liz, I'll have to try Kindle sometime and see. I know of it. I used it like back in the old days when it was called something else. I can't remember what it was called, but now it's getting quite popular with a lot, especially with print-on-demand designers. So that's all I have for today. Like I said, if you guys have art, we'd love to see it next week, and we'll do more questions and answers. And hope you all have a good week. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.